But, Danny, we've actually got to start with the news from the ice today. I woke up to the gigantic bummer that was the end of an era in DC sports. John Carlson traded at 1 in the morning by the Washington Capitals, playing in year 17. He debuted in 09-10. Think about this.
Yeah.
This radio station flipped to sports in July of 2009. The entire existence of 106.7 The Fan has been John Carlson's career, essentially. I started at the station in 09. At that time, I was 20 years old. So was John Carlson. We're the exact same age. We both now have 4 kids. Ovetkin said something about growing up together. We've known John since he was sitting at Primetime Grill doing hits on 106.7 The Fan with LeVar and Dukes in 2010. Very, very strange to see this happen. The Capitals trading their longtime legendary defenseman, a Stanley Cup hero, and a guy who's number 1 in organizational history in pretty much every single category on the blue line. And for the counting stats, like games played and so many things along those lines, he's number 2 all-time at any position to Alex Ovetkin.
Yeah, this is an all-time player for Washington. A jersey retired kind of player, like a hanging in the rafters kind of guy. All he's ever done is the right thing. So, 2 minds here, right? And I think you can do that as a grown-up. I can separate into the 2 silos. Spin the plate number 1. From a sports perspective, yeah, absolutely. That's the correct call. A team that's 11th in the Eastern Conference with a couple more games played than a lot of the teams around them. That doesn't look like they're going very far or really anywhere. Getting a lot back in return in terms of draft capital for a veteran piece that's going to turn 37 years old. Makes a lot of sense. That's a practical, smart, savvy move. They were able to get something back for a guy that was going to be a free agent. You could sort of throw the Dowd trade as well into that mix. Not exactly the same profile, but close, right? That makes a lot of sense. I get it. From a, damn, that guy got traded perspective, that's hard. I mean, you already said it. That is a challenging thing about this miserable world that we all kind of follow and are tangentially related to.
I was
in
talking
pro sports, it's so cutthroat.
Well, I was talking to one of the Nats in the clubhouse today.
Yeah.
And he said, there's certain moves that happen just as a sports fan that you see where you go, it's just a reminder that I'm in sports and I'm only here until I'm not.
Yeah.
And his point was like, we're all just kind of members of this organization, employee number whatever, the old Ryan Zimmerman line, basically.
Employee number 11, yeah.
And this is one of those moments where you go, it's true. Anybody can end up playing anywhere else. Because John Carlson, to me, felt like one of those guys. When you're in year 17 and you've won a championship and you're playing out the string of a contract, it does feel like you are a player who's only going to ever play for one team.
Yeah, number 1 in points and assists and goals among defensemen for Washington. 5th all-time in those categories. Points, at least, in Capitals history, behind some of the great goal scorers and point scorers ever. I mean, yeah, the accomplishments are obvious, man.
Right. I think the trade itself, because of what they got back, which was multiple draft picks, including a first-rounder, I don't know how you don't do it. I don't know how you turn it down. If you're willing to trade Dowd yesterday, you're essentially punting on this season. And if you're really doing that, and then the Ducks are offering you a first-round pick for John Carlson, I don't think you say no to that. Now, based on what I've gathered, talking to people pretty plugged in on the Capitals thinking, I think they will be in on Carlson this offseason in free agency. He's got an expiring contract and the possibility of him coming back. The door remains open. What I'd love to know is he had a no-trade clause for a bunch of teams. There were a handful of clubs that he couldn't turn down deals to. And when you do your contract, you pick those teams in those markets where maybe you'd be okay playing. I'd want to know what kind of dialogue there was with him. Like, Dowd was supposedly really surprised to find out that the trade broke and how he found out. What about Carlson? He was woken up by a phone call I read today at 1 in the morning. Did he say a week ago, hey, I'd love to go win a Stanley Cup. If you guys want to move me, that's fine? Or was it more team decision and he's just the employee getting the call to tell him you're on the move now? I would be curious what went into this behind the scenes.
Me too. Because, again, you mentioned Ovetkin previously. I would love to know what he's told them. I'd love to know what those dialogues have been. I'd love to know, if they have a good feel, talking about they, meaning the Capitals, the front office, coaching staff, et cetera, of Ovi's plans, and how is that influencing what's going on right now in terms of moving on from a couple of veterans.
Wasn't that one of your first thoughts?
It was my first thought, 100%.
I know for me, so I wake up to this news, If you hear the crowd behind us, incredible diving catch on the warning track in left field, spring training game in front of us by the Astros. Riley Adams was just robbed of an extra base hit. But
had to run all that way to second, too. He's so annoyed about it.
He's got to be pretty annoyed. But I wake up to this news that Carlson's been dealt, and now it's Dowd yesterday, Carlson today, and you're thinking maybe it's a significant sell-off. And all I can think about is they have to know that Alex Ovetkin is retiring at the end of the year. Because it would seem like in the past they have always tried to go for it. They have always tried to, there's been this commitment. I don't know if it was verbal or nonverbal or what to Alex Ovetkin. As long as you're around, we're in win-now mode. And this does feel like a step backwards. They've done this a couple times, though, in fairness, when they were going to miss the playoffs. I don't know how closely people are plugged in on and how much they follow the Caps organization from a 10,000-foot view, but this is not going to be a rebuild. This is not going to be an implosion. The Capitals own 22 picks in the next 3 drafts. They have 4 first-round picks in 3 drafts. They have 9 picks in the first 3 rounds over the next few years, which is the most in the NHL. We went through some of the young core pieces they've already got. Some of the players that are coming, like Cole Hudson, who's about to debut this month, in fact, defensively when his college season ends. The future's actually pretty bright, and they have done an incredible job at rebuilding on the fly. You always talk about it's time to rebuild, and I've always said, well, they're quite literally doing that while they're happening to compete at the NHL level. People don't necessarily see it because they're still winning, but they've threaded the needle pretty effectively so that it seems like next year, with all the money they free up, if they don't bring Carlson back, if Ovi walks, they can win again. But I just wonder, has Ovechkin told them anything yet? And would they have made these deals if he hadn't? Don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer.
But it's all I've been thinking about today.
To me, it's the question. It is the question. And, so I've talked myself into multiple scenarios. So pathway number 1, he has said, I'm just making this up. He said, yes, I'm retiring. It's my last go-around. That's it. And they go, okay, so we're not obligated to add right now. We're going to prioritize the future. Number 2, he hasn't told them anything. And they go, okay, well, we have to make decisions that are smart for the organization. Possibility number 3, he said he is coming back. And they go, okay, well, either way, we still need to improve the ball club, or the ball club, you know what I mean, the puck club for next year, and this is the best pathway forward. I've kind of talked myself into everything, but each kind of new angle, it makes sense in a vacuum, but then you could also have a mitigating factor of some sort. But again, it is my number 1 question. What do they know? What do we know? And what's in Ovi's mind? Again, he's under no obligation to let us know, or I'd imagine really to some degree them know. I mean, he's earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants to do it, as far as I'm concerned. But still, in terms of team building, this is a practical thing. So again, emotions out of it for a moment. A guy that, again, has done everything that he was supposed to do since coming here. Talking about John Carlson. From the first puck drop, from the minute John Carlson arrived, this was pro, great player, super productive, excellent dude in the community. Anything that you would ever want out of a pro athlete, man, husband, etc.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of my good buddies actually end up gotten to know him just randomly very well before they even realized, oh, my God, that's John Carlson of the Washington Capitals.
Well, when you have
their kids play sports together and stuff, he's a fantastic human being. Came on our show for a couple different seasons. Was great to deal with at all times. So forthcoming, so great. And again, just a really, really productive player, Ring of Honor Capital.
Yeah, he's still also ultra productive offensively. I think he's gotten a little bit of a bad rap in terms of the quality play the last couple seasons. He's at times been a bit of a punching bag because, yeah, you're older and you're 36 and you slow down a little bit. And on the defensive end, it is very clear he is not the same player. And I would even say at times, he has been an issue on that end of the ice. But offensively, you look at any advanced metrics, any of the numbers, they would tell you on the power play and at even strength as a defenseman, at his position, he still grades very favorably. There's a reason the Ducks and other teams really wanted him.
Yeah.
And they gave
there was a market here, yeah.
a ton to get him. I mean, they're really excited about this deal in that organization. I'll bet you there are people looking at this going, wow, you gave up a lot. But if you want an offensive, puck mover, I remember talking to him before the start of this season at Kettler when we went out there to do some interviews with the Capitals, and he basically said that the way the sport has changed and the way the NHL has altered since I came into the league is actually better for my game. So his point is like the idea that everyone's looking for defensemen who can engage offensively and trying to get the puck out of the defensive zone quickly. He's like, it's actually more of a John Carlson league now than it was back in the day, and that's true. he wants to keep playing after this year. He told me as much. He said, whether it's here or somewhere else, like, I hope to be playing in the NHL next season. This is not going to be my final year. So that's the next big question is, after he goes and tries to win his cup with the Ducks, does he end up playing hockey again here? I feel like now that you've ripped off the Band-Aid and traded him, there's probably better ways to spend that money than on a 37-year-old defenseman to come back to finish with you. But if you want an offensive blue liner, he's going to be one of the better ones out there, presumably. But I just would not have thought when this year began, or 2 weeks ago or a week ago, that the Capitals would be playing a game without John Carlson.
Me neither. Yeah, it's not the way you draw it up, certainly. It's a bitter ending. Again, it's the human part of sports. You talk about this more than I do in general, and I give you credit for it, where it's, all these pro sports and all, even college sports, I guess, to a degree. It's about people. It's about personalities. And it's about, bringing groups of guys together to try to achieve something pretty special. And every once in a while, it goes from, hey, this guy's here for a couple years, or he's on the team, or he can help you now, but he'll be moving on to the next thing, just a pit stop. And it's kind of that single serving, or you're a guy that rents but doesn't buy, so to speak. It's not what John Carlson was. That's a lifer, as you said. It's the almost half of his life currently that he's lived on this earth was spent as a Washington Capitals defenseman. When you think about it, in those sort of terms, it's whatever it is, 45% of his waking days, he has been a Washington Capitals defenseman, and that's no longer true today. It's a kind of jarring thing.
Quick anecdote on Carly before we let you hear from a couple of the Capitals, because I have not heard a locker room for any professional sports team as emotional and as honest and candid about the pain of a trade sell-off as Caps players have been today. We want to get you some of that audio here on G&D. But I've told this story on the air before, but what better time than today? This is what John Carlson is. This is who he is. This is the guy that John Carlson is. So, as I said, just from afar, because he's always been on the radio station and we've done appearances and events with him, we got to know him pretty well, starting when he was a rookie as a 20-year-old and similar age to him. So you fast forward to 2018 when the Capitals win the Stanley Cup, and at that point, Carly had been around for nearly a decade, right? He was like in his 9th season. And the team wins the Cup. He's a huge part of it. He's partying with all the Capitals at Don Tito. Well, my wife and I had just gotten married, and we're seeing on Twitter, everyone's kind of following the celebration. Oh, they're at this bar. They're at this restaurant. Oh, now the guys are at this bar. And these are all places, because we were in our young 20s, that like, we like, in our upper 20s, I should say, we like going out to. We go to just get a glimpse of the Stanley Cup trophy in Arlington. That's all we were going to do, is just go out, have a couple drinks, and see if we could bump into some Caps fans or whatever. And as I'm walking down the street, who do I see but John Carlson? And I go, Carly, congrats, man, and, dap him up, whatever. And he goes, did you guys go upstairs? Have you been to the party yet? And I'm like, no, we're not invited to the party. We shouldn't be at the party. He's like, no, go on over there. I'm like, dude, what
yeah,
party?
I do not play for the Capitals.
I was like, what party is he? He's like, it's the player party. We're upstairs at Don Tito. I'm like, well, who's there? And he's like, oh, just all the guys and their wives. And I said to him again, I'm like, right, but I shouldn't be there, and I'm not invited. And he's like, no, come with me. He's like, that door over there, just go over there and tell him you want to go upstairs. And there's like a bunch of security. I said, John, they're not going to let me upstairs to where you guys are all pounding beers and drinking out of the Stanley Cup.
And I want to say this is extra powerful because Grant is first team in history at I'll just go where I want to go.
But this was a particularly secure event.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Is even you, who Mr. I'll walk right past your rope, your barrier, without my pass, without my parking spot, whatever, I'll just go where I want to go. You recognize, hey, that's probably futile if I go over there.
Also, I'm not a push-the-envelope guy in the sense of like doing something that I shouldn't be doing unprofessionally when it comes to business. And I knew this is not a place I should be.
Right.
And Carly's like, just go over there and tell him. I'm like, dude, they're not going to let me up. It's okay. Seriously. And he's like, come with me. So we follow him. He walks like a block and a half, I'm not exaggerating, back to where he was. He was going home or wherever he was going. And he gets to the door, and he's like, these guys are with me. They need wristbands. They're going upstairs. And the guy's like, okay, no problem. And they just slap wristbands on us. And we walk upstairs and proceed to drink out of the Stanley Cup with T.J. Oshie and Lauren Oshie. And
as
just
you do.
Celebrate with Matt Niskanen and all these people. Jay Beagle and I are sitting at a table for 2 hours with Christian Juice, until 2 in the morning. It was one of the great nights of my life as a Caps fan.
Brought to you by John Carlson.
Just because Carly is a good dude, and he knew that would have meant something to me. He could have easily not had me do that. He was leaving. He didn't care. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's John Carlson, man. Let's hear from Alex Ovetkin, who called this day one of his worst as a professional hockey player. This was Ovi at practice today.
Obviously, sad day. Probably the toughest day in my career. Been talking about like personal life. It was kind of not surprising. It was a shocking situation. We're very close. We've been together since his day one in cash. We're growing up together as a person. He's obviously the best defenseman in this franchise, like history. He's a leader, obviously unbelievable man, and great friends for all of us. And it's hard. It's hard day.
That's the captain of the Capitals, Alex Ovetkin, on how sad he was that John Carlson, number 2 all-time as a Capital behind Ovi in games, number 3 all-time in assists, number 5 all-time in points, a Stanley Cup champion. If you're looking at NHL ranks, by the way, since he came into the league, among defensemen, 4th in points, 3rd in assists, 6th in goals, 6th in power play points. So he's been one of the prolific offensive players at his position. This was Tom Wilson with one of the great honest quotes you're going to hear from a professional athlete in a long, long time.
Group refocus with a big game tomorrow in Boston.
Like I just said, Ovi comes in this morning, and he's our captain, and right from him all the way down to the young guys, everybody's kind of got a role, and everybody's got a different style of leadership, and it's on the whole group to understand that, today sucks. It's brutal. I'm sure there's some guys that want to cry. That's the reality of it. Today you can cry, and tomorrow you got to wake up and be a big boy and go out and play hockey, and we're professionals, and we got to do our job, and we're not going to roll over like it. Obviously the trade deadline's not over, but we believe in this group. I still look at our roster, and I think we're a better team than a lot of teams in the East. So, we're gonna have some closure today, obviously, and say goodbye to. Johnny's a guy that anyone in your family can call him, and he'll be there. He truly is. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, and he gives people a hard time in here sometimes, but I think everybody in here knows if you call him at 3 a.m. and you need something, he's a guy that's lining up to be that guy for every single person. So we see that in here, and that's what hurts. He's a guy that you just can't replace. You just don't. And that's a tough feeling, but like I said, we'll have some closure today, and then tomorrow we'll wake up and try and go to war for the rest of the year and play hard.
10 years from now, what's the story that you're going to tell Teddy about John Carlson?
Hopefully Johnny can tell Teddy himself. I think the thing that I hope the most is that in 10 years we're sitting around a fire and having a cigar and a drink and talking about what an amazing ride it was. And I've seen his kids grow up, so it's tough. I remember Luca when he was just so it's when you put it that way, it's tough. But I think we got a bond that's going to be around for a long time, and I look forward to those future days.
Tom Wilson choking up, talking about John Carlson, traded this morning by the Washington Capitals, one of their most accomplished and beloved players ever, after a run of 1,143 games in 17 seasons. The fact is, though, Danny, and this part of it, as we paid homage to him correctly for the career that he's had here in this segment, probably didn't get enough run, but this was a business decision that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You've got a first-round pick, multiple picks back for a rental 36-year-old defenseman the rest of the way, and in a vacuum, When you take Carlson's name out of the equation, that's a pretty legitimate, significant package.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That makes sense, but man, is it tough.